Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello, everybody, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Apex Racing TV. I am your host, Aaron Smith, and I am joined by Sebastian Boscher Williams and John Robertson here at Hockenheim Ring for Formula Renault 3.5. I am very excited for this race. Last week was a very intense race at Red Bull Ring, and this race surely is going to be another great race. Sebastian, after missing out on a few weeks, how are you feeling?
Oh, I'm thrilled to be back in the commentary booth, mainly satelliting in, I think, for today's proceedings, but have certainly missed this fixture on a Saturday night. Have had a look at the replays, of course, and I mean, can anybody stop Eddie Samborski at the moment? I wonder. Hockenheim Ring, though, is going to prove a real challenge for our drivers today. Really tricky to get all of these corners right, especially the braking zone into turn 6, the hairpin. I think we're going to see a lot of moves there today. Qualifying, as ever, important in Formula 3.5, but I have a hazard bit today. It might just be a little bit more important, but Aaron, what a great way to spend a Saturday evening.
I would have to agree with you. I am very much looking forward to this race. Hockenheim Ring always seems to provide amazing racing, especially in the likes of even Formula 1. Obviously, the last time we came here in 2019, it was absolutely chaos all the way from start to finish, and hopefully we'll get the same sort of action here with Formula 3.5. As you were saying, Eddie Samborski looking pretty much unstoppable so far this season. However, last race we did see the likes of Shirakawa kind of matching his pace, but not on a consistent level. So hopefully some of these drivers might be able to catch him, stick with him, and be a little bit more consistent. But I have the feeling it's going to be same story as it always is, and he will shoot off into the distance. Now, as usual, Apex is sponsored by many beautiful people, the likes of which, of course, Virtual Racing School. Improve your on-track performance with over 50 data packs, road and oval racing, a bunch of setups, track guides, data analysis of your own laps, and one-on-one coaching with some of the drivers. Check it out. It is an absolutely gorgeous service, and I can assure you that you will improve your lap times when you are using it. So far, some of these drivers going around just doing their qualifying laps at the moment. Who do you think is going to be a shout for pole apart from maybe Samborski?
Well, I think, as you said, you can't really discount Eddie Samborski. You know, Jason Sieg, the driver that you're looking at on your screen at the moment, the number 4 car in today's session, a very quick driver in qualifying trim. So is Yuki Shirakawa, the number 5 car. You know, Yuki last season took 2 poles away from Eddie Samborski, a driver that always seems to run well at these sort of slightly lower downforce circuits like Hockenheim Ring. Teska up to the fastest, or up to the top of the podium stands, I should say. And I think, Aaron, as well, I think the drivers who will do well in qualifying will do well in the race as well, because you need to be so perfect on your laps. You really have to navigate the corners very well to get a good lap around here, and that sort of lends into the whole consistency thing. So I do believe that, you know, Teska, say, if he qualifies on pole, have a really good shot for the race win today.
I would have to agree with you, but on one point, I do think quali pace and race pace are two very, very different things. As quali pace, for example, we've seen the likes of Charles Leclerc in this Formula 1 season have an incredible amount of poles, but in the race he's just not been able to extract the most out of the car. Obviously, most of the time it wasn't really his fault, but just as an example though, quali pace is absolutely on the limit drivers, but the race, especially in a series like this where the races are fairly long, they're about 40 to 50 minutes, you got to be consistent, you got to keep it out the wall, no mistakes, and that's how the likes of Eddie Samborski is able to be so successful. He is just consistently on it, and the only times that he hasn't been able to be consistent, which is very rare saying that, has only been about once or twice this entire year. But so far, actually, we're getting a very mixed grid right now. As Garcia goes on to pole, his fellow Spaniard right behind him, Duresho in a second, and Jason Sieg, an impressive third for him. And Samborski then goes to the top of the timing sheets. Eat my words. I speak and he just blows me away, as he's been doing for the past few weeks. And yeah, it does seem like he is a tiny bit unstoppable at the moment, but hopefully some of these drivers can challenge him during the race.
Think about Eddie Samborski, he's just so quick, isn't he? He's consistent. As you mentioned, the differences between race pace and qualifying pace, well, he has it both. But I think the issue that Samborski will face today is that if you say Garcia, Dreshko in second and third, if they can hang with Samborski, if they can get within the slipstream, it could provide a real issue for Eddie heading into the race. Slipstream very important around the Hockenheim ring, especially with this layout. But, you know, I have to say, you know, Samborski, what can stop him? Who can stop him? The only times that we haven't seen him, you know, win a race, you have to go back all the way to Phillip Island last season, and that was, you know, a mistake from Samborski. And then, you know, of course, what happened at Watkins Glen a few weeks ago with the crash at the start line. Again, if Eddie Samborski doesn't make a mistake, if he doesn't have an incident, he is unstoppable. So I think it's up to Garcia and Dreshko to really change that narrative today. But everybody now, bar James Mallow, has completed their lap times, Aaron, and Mallow, I think, is going to be one to watch because he hasn't set a lap time yet. So possibility for him to be coming through the field as we enter the race today.
100%. I always like seeing some of the drivers at the bottom not setting times, because it always leaves you on edge. You're like, do they have pace? Are they slow? Or did they just mess their lap up? Who knows? But I think all of the drivers have now completed their laps, and iRacing is just probably going to skip on forward, since it's a very short lap round here, only about 1 minute and 20 seconds. So qualifying finishes a few minutes early with everyone getting their laps in, and hopefully iRacing will skip forward to the race. We will find out. It's got about a minute left, but I think another one to watch is probably the Byrne brothers. They're always so much fun to watch, and Crespo in the mix as well. These guys always seem to just manage to get their way up the field. As we've seen in weeks prior, they just manage to always end up inside the top 10. Again, without really us knowing, they just sort of teleport there somehow. And another driver, Yuki Shirakawa, who showed amazing pace last week, and hopefully can do much of the same today, and yeah, we have 20 seconds of qualifying left. Everyone has finished their laps. We're just waiting for iRacing to get on with it. As while we wait, may as well just give a little bit of a shout out to our other sponsor, because why not? SDK Gaming. Add virtual live HUD to iRacing, show timing towers, enhance relative boxes, minimaps, fuel calculators, and more. You'll be able to stream to Twitch with the most complete overlay on iRacing, broadcast your league series. SDK Gaming syncs your commentary team cameras, focuses drive and overlay with your broadcaster as well. Adjust your team strategy on the fly with our most accurate live timing on iRacing. It is truly an amazing piece of software, and even I use it on my streams. But anyway, here is your grid for today's race. Eddie Zamborski on pole, no surprises there. Alex Garcia alongside Duresho in third. Jason Sieg, the Aussie, lining up in fourth. Tasca lining up in fifth. Yuki Shirakawa sixth. John Owens in seventh. Macias in eighth. Pisca in ninth. Rita in 10th. We have Eric in 11th place. Javier Bonmati in 12th place. Shane Lambert in 13th. Dennis Cornu 14th. Ludovic Rancon in 15th. Morgan Keane 16th. Jamie Byrne in 17th. Cal Young 18th. Miguel Crespo 19th. James Byrne in 20th. Akin in 21st. Takashi Shindoi in 22nd. Gallas, who did not set a time, in 23rd. And James, who also did not set a time, in 24th. How are you now feeling?
I'm, as you can tell, excited for this race, ready to get this underway. What I was going to say, watch for Zamborski. He's got to the grid late, making everybody wait, and watch for turn one. That's going to be where the action really kicks off today.
I will have to agree with you. Turn one's going to be absolute chaos. It's 5 red lights, and we are now green here at Hockenheim. It's a really good start from our pole sitter, who's already shot into the lead. In the background, there's a few battles going on into turn one. Are we going to make it through clean? Everyone going wide. There's a little bit of a spin from Macias, who gets it all wrong and makes contact with, I think that was Rita, going into turn one. Carnage here is almost guaranteed into turn one. It's so difficult to get right, but everyone else seemingly make it through as we head now into turn two and into turn three, all the way down, all the way to the hairpin. Eddie Zamborski in the lead. But Garcia maybe going to try and send it into this corner. He's just going to back out of it for now. But are we going to go 4 wide into this hairpin? Nearly. Oh, it's going to be chaos. There's a little bit of contact. Some of the drivers have to make take avoiding action to try and get out of the way of some of these drivers as they send it into the hairpin.
Good start, though, from Zamborski. A driver that really struggled is Sergio Macias. Finds himself in 19th place, according to my timing software. Not quite sure what has happened to him. Weiser-Maisky falling down the order as well. Spinning off. There he is, Eric. Weiser-Maisky really not having a good start. That's Mercedes Arena. Interestingly, though, Garcia is keeping Zamborski honest. That could be a battle that develops over the course of this race. And Shirakawa up into third. Garcia, though, extending that gap to 2.5 seconds between second and third. Action, carnage on the opening laps, Aaron, and well, we've only had 1 lap and we're going to have a lot more action, but this battle is going to be one to watch, hopefully for the entirety of the race.
I mean, 100%. I was not expecting Garcia to be able to keep up with Zamborski. He was about a 10th or 2 slower than him in qualifying, but hey, I am not complaining about good racing, and hopefully Garcia can give Eddie Zamborski a run for his money, as not many people have been able to do that this season, as Duresho now having a battle with Taski for 7th place. Are any of these drivers... Oh, that was a little bit of a swipe, very, very close. Are they going to open their DRS in these opening few laps? Oh, and there's contact on the straight! Oh, and he didn't manage to keep it on. I thought he maybe would be able to do a perfect 360, but couldn't quite manage it. But that was extremely aggressive defending from Taski. And unfortunately, he got the bad end of the stick and has fallen all the way down to 20th place. And that was really unfortunate for him on a straight as well. You don't see that happen very often. But...
Sorry, Aaron, yeah, very unusual, isn't it, to see a car on the straight full foul of the circuit. I think it might have also picked up a little bit of damage, so watch for that later on in the race. We know how sensitive these cars can be to floor damage.
100%, and I didn't mean to butt into you as well. Just slight communications problems, but yeah, there was such an awkward bit of contact on a straight as well. It's always such a face-palming moment when you make contact. I mean, it's sort of a kink, as we see Cao Yong going a little bit wide at the final corner. But yeah, I think Tasky will be kicking himself. It was more or less sort of his fault. It was very, very aggressive, and he did already move once on the straight. As we get a replay of the start now from Piska's perspective, who's up 5 places from where he started, going into turn 1. Takes a little bit of wide line, and yeah, you just see the carnage behind some of the drivers losing it into turn 1. It is one of the more difficult turn 1s to escape in all of racing, in my opinion. Even worse than the likes of Monza. It is extremely difficult to come out cleanly. But nevertheless, most of our drivers did make it through cleanly, and now everyone's starting to kind of settle down and slip into their proper positions where they are now and maybe try and push forward. We shall see what some of these drivers do. But at the top now, Zamborski is pulling away from Garcia ever so slightly. The gap now around 0.8 of a second. That last lap, Eddie did send what was the fastest man on track with a 1:42.42. Pretty impressive lap from him, about 1.25 seconds off his pole time, as he sets another fastest lap of the race. Eddie Zamborski doing Eddie Zamborski things.
Yeah, that's really become a little bit of a motto of ours in the commentary booth. Dennis Cornu at the moment chasing down Cal Young. Young chasing Lambert. Lambert, a man that we spoke to quite a lot at the end of last season, a driver who really found his footing in these Formula 3.5 cars. Hasn't had the best of starts to this season, but I think one to watch. James Byrne leads Jamie Byrne in that inter-family battle. Bragging rights being currently held by James. That Zamborski and Garcia fight, though, is really fascinating to me, Aaron, because, you know, although Zamborski is starting to pull away, Garcia is still able just about to hold on to his slipstream. And, you know, Zamborski is under pressure, you have to say, from Garcia. And if Garcia can keep that pressure on, we know that sometimes, it's rare, but it can happen that Zamborski feels that pressure and cracks underneath it. And maybe, just maybe, we'll have a very, very good battle for the race win here today.
100%. As you were saying, not many people do have the ability to put pressure on Zamborski, so it is rare that we are able to see him make any mistakes, since he's usually in double digits seconds away from the rest of the grid. But on that last lap, Garcia was around 1/10 of a second faster than Zamborski, so hopefully if he can keep this pace up, he will be able to keep with Eddie Zamborski. Although I'm not 100% sure, but I think Garcia may have used DRS on that last lap. I am not sure, but either way, if he gets close to him, I'm not complaining, as Tasky now trying to make his way back through the field. He's now up to 19th place, slowly just trying to recover and using DRS probably along the straight. I can't quite see. It is very difficult to see if these cars activate DRS, and I don't think he has. No, he has not, but he's going to send it into this hairpin nevertheless and get the move done. Moves himself up into 18th place, and that was a fairly clean move from him, and hopefully we will see him inside the top 15. But we get a replay now of what actually happened to him. Seb, what are your thoughts on this?
I think it's half a dozen of one, 6 of another, just Tasky moving out with the car behind doing the same. And that's the difficulty that you have when the driver behind you opens the DRS. There's such a big differential in speed and you lose a lot of grip towards the rear. And I think it's quite astonishing the fact that we don't see more incidents like that, more miscommunications on the straight. And you know, you mentioned it's a kink. It's actually a named corner. It's the Parabolica turn 4 as you head down the straight. So it's certainly, you know, something that you have to be wary of as a driver. But Tasky really feeling the effect of that incident, finds himself down in 18th place, down 13 places from where he started. But Simone Pizzica, the driver who really collected all of the positions after the carnage, up into 4th place. Great job by him, putting pressure on Shirakawa for 3rd. I mean, really fascinating race at our hands, and once again, action on the back straight heading down towards the hairpin.
Yeah, just gonna mention, I think... Oh, and that's contact! I was just about to mention Lambert and say he is slipping away, and then he goes and makes contact, and that's Gallus trying to avoiding action and just slams into Jamie Byrne, who unfortunately got spun round by Lambert. I think Shane just locked his brakes going into the hairpin and completely messed it up and slammed into the back of Jamie. Unfortunate for him, as we get a replay of what happened. I do think there was something wrong with Shane. I was going to mention it, but then he went and completely missed his braking zone trying to stop, and yeah, unfortunate contact as Gallus goes wide, and yeah, that's just incredibly unfortunate for him. Yeah, just getting wrong place, wrong time for Gallus. And as we now see Piska trying to make a move for third place on Shirakawa. Can Piska get up 6 places? He can. Piska is on a mission today, and I'm not complaining. He is providing some very lovely action, and it is very, very fun to watch. Can Shirakawa now come back at him into the hairpin? He's got the slipstream. Is he going to try and brake much, much later than Piska? He's going to get the switchback as Piska goes very, very wide and makes contact! And that's Piska round. And somehow Shirakawa has come away from that incident unscathed. I'm in shock. Oh my word.
You know, when, sorry to cut in once again, you know when you can sort of see things happening in slow motion. That was exactly what we saw. Shirakawa, though, I think has got damaged. Sieg and Tereshko both getting past him. Surely Yuki Shirakawa is driving a wounded car. That was a very heavy hit to the rear right, and we know how sensitive these cars can be to damage. Tereshko, the big gainer in that, up 2 places. Jason Sieg up 2 as well. But Piska, what a mistake from him. He'll be ruining that. It was such a good race up until then. That's a late move there from Javier Bonamati.
Yeah, I think he could see that Shirakawa had damage and just didn't want to waste any time behind him. And yeah, I think I can see slight damage on that Formula 3.5 car. And that is a real shame. Yes, you can see how bent his front wing is. And that is not helping his cornering ability, or his ability to drive in a straight line. And that is a real shame. Piska was having such a good race, and he is now actually making the overtake on Shirakawa, but yeah, it's so unfortunate. He tried to get a good exit, but just messed it all up, as we now see what happened going into this hairpin. Piska takes the defensive line, messes the braking up, tries to get a good exit, and just loses it on the curb and smacks straight into Shirakawa. Piska must be kicking himself after that incident.
I think he must be. He got caught out, didn't he, on the exit of the hairpin. That curb really falls away from the racetrack, provides no grip whatsoever out there. I expect to see Yuki Shirakawa into the pits at the end of this lap to get at least some damage repaired on his car. As you see now, James Byrne, the next car to find his way past Yuki Shirakawa. Miguel Crespo is trying to add his name to that list. Has something happened to Simone Piska? I see him falling down the order. Yes,
he has.
In fact, he has falling down. I wonder, is that a Max Verstappen-esque spin? We saw him do that a few years ago at this very track, and Simone Piska going for a bit of a spin on the back section of the circuit.
Yes, we're just going to get a replay of what happened to Piska. It is a real shame. He had such an amazing start and had amazing momentum, and just loses it on the exit of the exit of that corner. Completely forgotten what part of the circuit that is. But yeah, it is very reminiscent of what happened to Max Verstappen a few years ago. Just completely loses it on exit. And I'm surprised Shirakawa hasn't actually come into the pits yet. I would be. He's lost about 20-odd seconds from this damage, and I don't know why he's not coming into the pits. As Lambert now falling off, you can see in the background he has gone very, very wide at the hairpin. A little bit of a mistake from him once again, not getting the best braking into that corner, as now Taski trying to make his way past. But yeah, we see Zamborski doing Zamborski things and pulling away from Garcia behind. It was looking good for Garcia at the start, but I think he may have been using his DRS to catch up with Zamborski. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's the only thing I can think of, is you do gain a few tenths per lap using the DRS on this particular straight. I think around 2 or 3 tenths. So it wouldn't surprise me if he was using the DRS to keep up. I mean, you got to do anything to try and keep up with Zamborski, but nevertheless, Garcia is showing very, very good pace, and that's Piska, I think, actually out of this race now. Yes, he's had another incident, I think. Another crash for Piska. 3 incidents in about a lap and a half. Such a shame for him. After being in 3rd place at one point, is now pulling into the pits and is exiting the race. And that is his race done, along with Macias. And that's Tasky coming out, or actually going into the pits. My apologies. But we now see Takashi Shindoi trying to defend from Jamie Byrne, but there's nothing the Japanese driver can do. And that's Shirakawa still on the track with the damaged car. I really think he should pull into the pits. I don't know how he hasn't got a black and orange flag, actually, but yeah, I don't know what he's doing, Seb.
I think he's just staying out there in the hope that he can just sort of survive his way to the end of the race. He knows, I mean, he's got such a vast knowledge as Yuki Shirakawa of the Formula 3.5 car that he'll almost know just by the feel of the damage that he can't come into the pits and repair it in any timely manner. So it's just about staying out and just sort of lapping and hoping, but it's really not proving to work in Shirakawa's favour. Down in 17th place now, lost 11 places from where he started, side by side in the background. I think that's with Vaison Maisky. Actually, no, it's Daniel Gallis who Shirakawa is having a little bit of a battle with, but Shirakawa never going to win that one with a very, very damaged Formula 3.5 car. And now I think we will see Shirakawa come into the pits because he's really got nothing to lose, Aaron. He's just got to, he can try and get to the end of the race. He's got, Reiter, Ranchon and Vaison Maisky behind him, but after that, the other drivers not out on the racing circuit. And just very quickly going back to your point about Garcia, I think he has gone through his DRS uses, and I think it's quite a smart play, if I'm honest, from Garcia. He's got a good gap over Dreshko that you see on your screen in 3rd place, and Garcia just had to apply that pressure, had to keep that pressure on Zamborski to hope that Zamborski would crack, would make a mistake early doors and allow Garcia to gain the lead, or the race lead. So I think Garcia has sort of played his hand and now has had to settle in to that 2nd place. But, never count anything out. We're not even halfway through the race, so anything could happen. As Jamie Byrne finds his way past James Mallow, battles up and down the order once again.
Yes, everyone sort of seems to be spread out, but on your point about the DRS usage, I would say it's a very smart play, of course, building a gap with Zamborski at the front, but it also is a very, very risky play, as if you do come under pressure from anyone else, you don't have really any way of defending from them. You don't have that extra straight line speed to help you. He does have decent pace, and I don't think Duresho will be able to catch him, but he could make a mistake, or Zamborski might make a mistake and catch up to him, and he would have to try and defend. Who knows what can happen in these next 15 or so laps. We are on lap 12 at the moment. Zamborski's still in the lead by about 2 and a bit seconds, but as Seb was saying, we've got battles all up and down the grid, including this one between James Mallow trying to hold on to the back of Byrne in front of him, but also trying to defend from Lambert behind, who's had a few incidents in this particular corner over the past, the whole of this race, to be honest. He's had 2 separate incidents, and hopefully he can keep it on track and make his way past James Mallow cleanly and comfortably, as he's just following him through now. Not really many overtaking opportunities in the middle part of this track, unless someone ahead of you does make a mistake. Especially in cars this quick, you don't really see any moves really past turn 7, really. The cars are just too quick and too wide to do anything. However, if you're in something like Formula V's or Mazda, then you can send it into pretty much any corner and go side by side, as I've had much experience with that, as we had a Formula V series run by Apex a few years ago at this very track, and it was very entertaining. But Shane Lambert now, he's just going to stick behind Mallow in front of him, and probably open his DRS and swoop his way past cleanly into the hairpin. Yeah, he's got so much more straight line speed. He's going to blast past him and hopefully get his braking right into this corner, as he has got it wrong a few times. Can he get it right? Yes, he can, and he moves himself up into 14th place. Good move from Lambert, nice and clean, and he's going to probably pull away from Mallow behind. But interestingly, there's a battle forming, in my opinion, for third place, as Sieg is actually falling away. I was going to say he was catching him, but on that last lap he was falling away. I was going to say he was catching him, but let's see when they cross the line. No, Sieg is still slightly slower than Dershow, so my apologies. I thought he was catching him, but actually, the complete opposite. Dershow is pulling away from him.
Yeah, it always goes to show as soon as you pick up something in commentary that the driver behind proves you wrong. Cal Young is a very interesting driver, up 10 places at the moment in this race. James Byrne, the guy behind him, up 11. So these two are really making their way through the field in this race. Dennis Cornu up next for Cal Young, the gap just under a second. So Cal Young will be benefiting just a little bit from the slipstream on the back straight. As you mentioned, after sort of turn 6, turn 7, the Mercedes Arena, there's not too many places to make the overtake. So I think we'll see Young slowly catch up, slowly gain, and then he will pounce in either the first sector or the second up towards the hairpin. Just want to say that Taski, Pizzica and Masias, they are all out of the race, and Chirikawa still just valiantly trying to get around the circuit, but really struggling for any sort of pace. So Shirakawa, I mean, you've got to feel bad for him. He just doesn't have the luck. He's always got the pace. He's always, second, third quickest driver on the track, but it never works out for him in the way that I think he would have liked. So another tough pill to swallow, I think, today for Yuki Shirakawa.
Yeah, Shirakawa doesn't seem to have the luck on his side a lot of the times. As we've seen time and time again this season, he has had the pace, and of course his starts are absolutely godly. He is a magic man at the start with these cars. He gets the clutch absolutely perfect, the wheel spin absolutely perfect, and just storms away from everyone else. Even the likes of Eddie Zamborski can't even make starts like that. And it's incredible to see. But at the moment, I'm not quite sure what he's doing. I would come into the pits, but he can do whatever he wants. I think his race is done and dusted either way. It's not going to make too much of a difference. But he will just lose more and more places and more iRacing. So, he can do what he wants, but I would recommend he comes into the pits, as he loses another place to Ludovic Rancon, and now he's down to 20th. 14 places from when he started in 6th place. 6th place, though, is currently occupied by John Owens, who has had a fairly quiet race. He's only up 1 place from where he started, but is chilling in 6th place, having a fairly decent race, putting him some decent lap times, kind of in his own world right now, a second behind Bonmati and 5 seconds ahead of Cornu behind. So he's looking pretty secure this race to at least get a top 6 finish, and I don't think he will be complaining about plus 82 iRacing. That is a good chunk of iRacing to take away, as the strength of field of this race I think is about 4.4k. These races are always incredibly close. The iRacing some of these guys have is absolutely incredible. In the top 10% of all iRacers, as John Owens actually now closing in on Bonmati for 5th place, and he could put himself up into 5th. I was just saying he might get a top 6, but hey, he's going to prove me wrong and get into the top 5.
Almost feels like a driver's job out there on the circuit is not only to make to do their very best in the car, but also to prove us commentators wrong. Owens, you're right, looking very, very quick. Bonamati was a driver that benefited, didn't he, from that Shirakawa Pizzica incident, sort of found his way through and hasn't really had the pace of Sieg and Dreshko. They sort of all escaped up the road. So, Bonamati, you have to say, is looking a little bit vulnerable in that 5th place. Got no slipstream ahead of him. Dreshko, though, so it's the fastest lap time of the race. The first man into the 23's huge accident.
Oh, that is a big accident for the two drivers. Cornu involved, and he's got a tow. He needs to pull over and tow that car. It is without a rear wing and without an engine cover. I believe if he's going to go into this corner absolutely terrified. Yeah, that car looks battered, beaten, and done. He should definitely tow that car. It is not fit to be driven at all. He needs to tow, but I think he's going to soldier on and come back to the pits. But let's have a look at what happened. Fairly decent gap behind. I think there was a mistake here. Yep, Cornu loses it, and then behind, that's Cow Young, I believe, just collected, and that's really unfortunate for Young. Innocent party and all that, and Cornu just making a mistake, and now slips down the order, and probably will try and come back to the pits. I hope he doesn't do what Shirakawa does and just keeps on driving. That would be incredibly dangerous and incredibly stupid, but yeah, you just see from Cow Young there's absolutely nothing he can do, and that's incredibly unfortunate. But he is still in 9th place, and we'll see what he can do from here on in.
Cornu, you're right, cannot stay out on the track, can he? He's got no rear wing, got no engine cover. Like a miracle as well that Cal Young is still lapping about with any form of lap time to go with it. Cornu did the right thing there, didn't he? He held the brakes. His drivers are always told you need to hold the brakes when you spin, but that sort of sealed the fate for Cal Young and, in fact, Dennis Cornu. But at least Cornu was predictable. He won't get any form I don't think Young will be upset with him with the actions that Cornu with what Cornu took, I should say, but certainly not the race that those two would have wanted, and not the way they would have wanted it to end. Mallow, though, very close to Daniel Gallis. Gallis is a driver who's up 8 spots from where he started, trying to make that 9. Samborski now starting to get up to a little bit of lapped traffic as well, Aaron. But as the laps die down, we start to see the race unfold as we see it move into the hairpin.
Gallis has had and shown decent paces. He gets too much on the curb and just about manages to keep the car from spinning round, and just he tries to get on throttle but completely messes it up. I was about to say that Gallis has shown decent pace but not anything spectacular, as he is up 7 places, but you do have to remember that 5 drivers right now are in the pits or a lap down. So technically, he's more like 2 or 3 places up from where he started. But nevertheless, you can't discredit what a driver's done, but he has just made a mistake on the exit of the hairpin, as now we see a driver that very much has shown the reputation that he's known for. Eddie Zamborski now about 3 seconds ahead of Garcia behind. No surprises there. I think every single week I come into this race hoping that someone can challenge Zamborski, and then I realise that Zamborski is just in a league of his own and has found something in this car that no one else really has been able to find. I mean, with an iRacing link as high as his, 8,489, basically 8,500, I'm not really surprised he's this quick. I'm really not. He is an absolutely ridiculously good driver, and he's shown that time and time again. And yeah, it sort of reminds me of Sebastian Vettel from 2010 to 2013. Just, he's super quick. He wins almost every race, and you kind of love him for it. I mean, you just have to appreciate how quick this guy is. And I think all the other drivers always aim to just they see him as a benchmark. They see the times that he sets and think, how close can I get to that lap time? And they are either happy or sad with the lap times that they come out with, as he has a 16-second gap to 5th place. That kind of gap is ridiculous. And I think that Rancon and Rita have had an incident, and I can hear it. Oh my lord. Oh my god. Okay, we just oh dear. That was a car upside down. I think that was Rita. And Rancon having another incident, having already lost a part of his car earlier on in the race. But that was quite a spectacular scene to come out in the hairpin and just see a car flipping upside down. Seb, take it away for this absolutely chaotic incident.
So Rita down the inside into the hairpin, and you see the switchback maneuver. Oh, it's just driving into each other, and then Rita, well, he's hit the wall all by himself, and there's a little bit of both of them, I think, have to be culpable for that incident. Both of them driving to the same piece of the racetrack, and that's never going to end well. Cal Young, still in 8th place, he's actually gained a position over Miguel Crespo. Cal Young, I don't know what he's made his front wing out of, but I wonder if the stewards are going to check for it to be within regulations, because that is a very, very strong Formula 3.5 car. I tell you what, though, a little bit of acrimony going on in the chat. I don't normally mention, in fact, the iRacing chat, but Leonardo Reiter really not happy with that incident.
Oh, there's contact. I could see that a mile off. The way that Atkins' car was moving to the left, you could see that from a mile off, and yeah, contact was made. Luckily, they both seem to have come out relatively unscathed, but on the topic of Cal Young's front wing, it sort of reminds me of Lewis Hamilton's front wing. Both this season and last season, as we see Owens and Bonmatí getting very, very close to the hairpin, but Bonmatí just managing to stay in front, defending very, very well, up 7 places from where he started. But our biggest mover so far, James Byrne, up 13 places. I did mention before the start, the Byrne, they're always people to watch. They always manage to sneak their way into the top 10. Unfortunately, Jamie Byrne hasn't right now, but James Byrne is on an absolute flyer, up 13 places. That is incredible. But yeah, I do think Cal Young does need to get his front wing checked out, as Garcia setting blistering lap times at the moment, 0.3 of a second quicker than Zamborski on that last lap. That gap is coming down slowly but surely, and maybe Zamborski might fall under a bit of pressure towards the end of this race. We'll have to wait and see if he can, but this battle for 5th place at the moment surely will be the one to watch all the way until the end of the race.
Yeah, certainly the closest battle out on the circuit. Javier Bonamati chasing down Jason Sieg. Sieg, we know, really is rapid at the start of the race, but then sort of falls away. Sorry, it's Bonamati and Owens, isn't it? I'm getting all mixed up in the commentary booth. Bonamati defending from John Owens. But yeah, I'm going to make my point about Jason Sieg. Sieg is a driver that is so quick at the start of the race, but sort of falls off towards the end. That hasn't seemed to have been the case in today's proceedings. Sieg, I think, will be happy to come away with that sort of positivity, knowing that, you know, he's managed to keep his pace up. But interestingly, the top 4 are in the same position where they qualified. Zamborski, Garcia, Dreshko, Sieg, your top 4. Bonamati then up 7 spots. In a real sort of topsy-turvy race from 5th downwards. And I think, you know, a real race of survival, I think you have to call it today. Aaron, many drivers falling foul, but at least we didn't see a repeat of one season to go with that huge start line incident that took out half the drivers before we'd even made it into turn 1. And Zamborski, that lap time wasn't that great from him. The gap is now down to 1.75 seconds. Garcia, is this a last-ditch attempt? Is this a last gasp effort for Alex Garcia to make the move to get up into the race lead? And I tell you what, Zamborski locked up into the hairpin. Zamborski is feeling the pressure.
And you know what? I'm here for it. If anyone is going to challenge Zamborski, go ahead. We never see it. Owens making his way past Bonamati, and then Bonamati making his way back past Owens. That battle will continue until the end of time. They're going side by side all the way down into the stadium section. Bonamati slightly later on the brakes and stays ahead of Owens. Really good defending from Bonamati at the moment, and hopefully he will be able to keep that 5th place all the way until the end. We have around 3 laps to go once Zamborski crosses the start-finish line. But Garcia is catching Zamborski, and at the rate he is at the moment, he will be around half a second behind by the end of the race. He does need to pick up the pace if he wants to win this race, but he was 0.4 of a second quicker than Zamborski on that last lap, and I think Zamborski, for the first time in a while, is feeling a little bit of pressure. As you said last lap, he locked up into the hairpin. And who knows, maybe Zamborski might not be able to deal with the pressure. We shall find out as, yeah, we have 3 laps to go. And our drivers at the moment, as Seb was very accurately saying last lap, actually, it is a race of survival. It's been absolute chaos from start to finish. And all of these drivers just trying to make it to the end of this point, as we have around, I think, 7 drivers a lap or more down, which is the most we've had in quite a while, actually. And yeah, this race has been absolute chaos. A lot of contact, a lot of very close contact as well. But I mean, it's entertaining, and I love to see close, hard-fought action for any type of motorsport, as that gap between Bonamati and Owens is falling down, and the gap at the top is going up, as Zamborski just starting to pull back away from Garcia. But Owens has to do something to try and get past Bonamati. He hasn't got long left to do it, as it is the penultimate lap of the race now when these two cross the line. And I wonder if John Owens has any DRS left, or Bonamati does. Maybe he will use it as a defense mechanism. We shall find out. And Seb, who do you think is going to prevail in this battle?
I think it's got to be Bonamati. I think he's just a little bit quicker, a little bit more consistent with, I normally bet really on the driver that's behind. You have less pressure, you have more ability to watch the driver to sense where they are slower, but Bonamati's just been so quick in this race, up 7 places from where he started. So I think my money would be on Javier in the number 9 entry. Owens, though, I love the fact that all of these drivers, they're racing at the top of their level. I mean, these are the fastest drivers in the Formula 3.5 series, but they still say thank you to everybody. And they've got a button on their wheel that sort of puts it in chat, but still there's a real camaraderie between the racers, and it's exactly what we like to see.
100%. This is one of the most friendly leagues and series out there, as Keen has disappeared from our timing screens. I'm not sure if he's just lagged out for a second, but it is white flag for Eddie Zamborski now, as he finally gets into the 23s. It's taken him 26 laps to do that. Maybe he will set purple next lap, we shall find out. And yeah, I think Keen has either had an incident of his own or lagged out of the race. Not quite sure what's happened there. A bit unfortunate on the penultimate lap if he has lagged out. Really unfortunate. Very close to the end, and his internet has decided, nope, I'm gonna leave now. Gotta give him a hug for that one. But Eddie Zamborski hasn't really looked in doubt for this race win. Really, the whole race. There's been a few moments where we've been a bit like, maybe he might not win, but nevertheless, the gap has never really looked in doubt, and as you can see, 2.7 seconds at the top to Garcia. And credit to Garcia, he has shown immaculate pace, and he is currently the fastest lap holder out of the entire grid. But he could not stop Eddie Zamborski, and that's a phrase I think everyone is used to hearing. No one can stop Eddie Zamborski as he rounds the final corner and takes victory here at Hockenheim. An absolutely superb victory from him once again. More iRacing as he does set the fastest lap of the race. That lap, a 23.7 dead. Superb lap from him and superb race. And I feel like I'm saying this every single race. Oh, what a great race.
What a great race indeed. It really had it all, didn't it? Good intrigue, good racing, and well, a little bit of spice and action mixed in for good measure. James Byrne, though, a driver who I think will also be saying what a good race he had. Superb made his way, I should say, superbly through the field. Zamborski on the last lap once again sets the fastest lap of the race. You made the comparison to sort of that 2013 era Sebastian Vettel. Well, Zamborski just does the same. He sets the fastest lap of the race on the last lap, really builds himself up to it and takes no prisoners. What a superb driver Zamborski is, and I'm sure when we speak to him in a few moments' time, he'll be elated with that performance.
100%. I don't really think he put a foot wrong. Maybe middle part of the race he could have been a bit quicker, made a couple mistakes, but nothing that could stop him. I mean, 3 seconds at the end of the race. It could have been more, maybe, had he picked up the pace, but he doesn't need to. He just needs to get in the car, turn the wheel for 20-odd laps, and he crosses the line and wins. And now he is in the 8,500 bracket as he gains around 27 iRacing. But all up and down the grid, if you were in the top 14, you would have gained places from where you started. So absolute chaos as some of these drivers threw away their race, others absolutely pounced. And yeah, James Byrne up 13 places, your biggest mover for that race. Superb race from him as we now take you through the entire grid for today's race. It is Eddie Zamborski winning at the end of the race. Again, as I've said a million times at this point, not surprised. Alex Garcia coming home in second place. He showed superb pace throughout the race, it has to be said, only finishing 3 seconds behind. Duresho in third place, Jason Sieg in fourth, Javier Bonamati in fifth, winning out that battle with John Owens just behind. James Byrne up 13 places from 20th on the grid, great race from him. Cal Young up 10 places in 8th. Then you got Miguel Crespo further behind in 9th place, just missing out on 8th. Jamie Byrne in 10th, getting inside the top 10. I predicted it before this race. Shane Lambert in 11th place. Then you have James Mallow in 12th. And then you have Yahi Akin in 13th place. Then we have Takashi Shindoi 14th, Daniel Gallis in 15th, Eric Wozomowski in 16th place, and then you have all the drivers who finished a lap or more down. Dennis Cornu in 17th place, Ludovic Rancon in 18th, Morgan Keane in 19th, Leonardo Rita in 20th place, and then your non-finishers for today, Yuki Shirakawa 21st, Piska in 22nd, Taski in 23rd, and Macias in 24th. A lot of our drivers that started inside the top 10 really not having great races, especially the likes of Shirakawa, Piska, and Macias, all who looked really good before this race, not being able to extract the most out of the car and having a pretty poor race. Whilst we wait for hopefully some interviews, probably Eddie, as yes, he's in the interview waiting area. Just a quick shout out to Apex Racing Academy, one of our glorious sponsors in this series. 29 data packs, setups, track guides, integrated with VRS as well. Weekly group coaching sessions from some of the best iRacers on iRacing, and so much more from Apex Racing Academy. It is a truly glorious subscription, and like all of our other sponsors, you should sign up today. And I think, Seb, you should give Eddie an interview. I'm sure he would love that.
Let's have a chat. You are right to our race winner, Eddie Zamborski. Eddie, welcome to the commentary booth. Very good race from your side, you have to say. Looked fairly, to be honest, it looked fairly difficult. Well, more difficult than it has been for you in previous races. How did it feel from the cockpit?
Yeah, I believe his name was Alex, was extremely quick, especially for being the 21 car in the server. And the track conditions were very, very slippery. I'm watching some of the opening laps now, and you can see there was a bit of excitement. So at the start, I was trying to make sure I didn't get past because I didn't know how fast he would be in clean air. So, you know, you get one move. So I was using my one move between corners there, and I used 4 of my DRSs, and I wanted to have something for the end because I kind of realized I didn't think I was going to get away. Then I think the driver made a mistake, and that enabled a little bit of a gap, so I just tried to put in good enough laps and not have any issues. Wasn't really conditions to try to set world records or anything like that, so I just wanted to maintain the gap.
I mean, it looked, you know, like you did have it under control, but a few laps before the end, you know, Garcia started to close that gap down, and we saw you, I think, lock up into the hairpin. Did you think that, you know, it was possible that you could have lost the race lead, or did you feel at all times you had the race win under control?
I got distracted by the two lappers tangling, and I got offline, and I went to get on the brakes, and I should have braked sooner. I forgot about pickup, and I hit the brakes, and the car had no interest in stopping. So I just did what I needed to do to keep from spinning, and I knew I was going to lose time, and I knew I had like 3 seconds, so I didn't think I lost 3 seconds. So I put my head down, and then I kept paying attention to the relative, and then because I was offline, I had to deal, with a lap and a half of a misbehaving car. But I mean, I thought I had it under control. I knew I couldn't afford another mistake. But I was anticipating DRS usage as soon as I made the mistake, and that's exactly what happened. And I just remained calm and kept doing the laps that I wanted to do. And I knew I was going to save him for defense no matter what. So even if he caught me, I was going to save him for defense. And that's what I did.
Well, it certainly worked out in your favour, Eddie. Congratulations on your race win. Before we let you go and celebrate, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to at all?
Absolutely. Gotta thank you guys in the booth. Thank all the donators. We gotta do a special shout out to Yuki. He's providing setups currently for the series that I don't want to go into the setup drama that people, I guess, prefer or think, they'd rather drive than other avenues. So that's good. And I thank everyone for watching. Hopefully it was entertaining.
It certainly was. Well, thank you so much, Eddie, for once again coming to talk to us in the commentary booth, and we will see you in 1 week's time.
All right, excellent. Sounds good.
With Eddie Sam Vorski, your race winner today. And Aaron, we always hear from Eddie, don't we? And he always sounds so calm after a race, but he was, well, the master of Hockenheim today.
100%. And I think it kind of gives me like the top drivers in Formula One vibes, like the sorts of Max Verstappen, Lewis. They win and they're absolutely ridiculous on track, but they're calm, professional, and collected after every single race. And I think that is championship winning mentality. And I think if there was a proper league for Formula 3.5, I do think Eddie Zamborski would run away with it, as he does have that race winning and championship winning mentality. Compared to some of our other drivers who more or less have one-off wins where they are blitz quick. But nevertheless, it's always a pleasure to speak to our drivers, Eddie being the only one today. But nevertheless, it has been an absolutely fantastic race here at Apex Racing TV at Hockenheim Formula 3.5. It's always so much fun to commentate over these races. I've been Aaron Smith, alongside Sebastian Williams and John Robertson in the commentary booth, and I hope all of you have a good end to your day. Have an amazing night or evening wherever you are. Good night.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.